Good morning. Everyone in the pre-net there. I got a little chitter-chatter down the band there. So, anyways. Yeah, cooler days there. Good day. We did a major lawn cut there since the weather was lousy and busy and stuff like that there. So, but all is good down here. Greenwich, Joe. Greenwich, sorry. Bridgeport had an incident last night there. Apparently somebody decided to strike a police officer with the vehicle. They head out on a high-speed chase down southbound of 95 and toss his firearm outside somewhere in the window over the guardrail, then proceed to crash. I guess you deserve what you get. Had the entire throughway shut down there for a bit there southbound Fairfield. But anyway, things good. My little tornadoes, my grandchildren have been here because they're done with summer camp and going back to school there. And so, you know, I'm home. My other half was home for a week, so they stayed a couple of days, 4 days here, 2 days on and a day off, and then 2 days on. Well, you know, you're so happy to see them come and happy to see them go. These two are 5.5 years old. Gosh, I can't figure out how to put something together, and I hand it to them. Too smart. So, hey, it's the top of the hour, so let me pass it over to Joe. Let's start off with the AM carrier net. Over to you, Joe. Anyone you want?
Yeah, very good, Rob. N1ALF in the AM carrier net. I've got maybe another 30 seconds till the top of the hour, but yeah, that's good. And sounds like you had maybe some traffic issues down there, or an accident or something on 95. But it was a little tough to make out everything, and I was not hearing all of the Larry's transmission. There is a couple of stations who were on 32 about a half hour ago, 38, 32. And then I heard them sign saying they were going to go grab coffee and do some stuff and then come back. And it looks like they came back and maybe didn't hear us in here, because we would be outside their van pass probably to some extent. Well, so in any case, I'm not sure if we want to pause for a minute or two and I can float down and see if they might be willing to slide off a couple of KC, or if we want to just try to persevere. I don't have easy capacity to do that. I have to flip a couple of switches, slide down there, wait for an opportunity to pop in, and then come back. But well, let's see what happens. It's 8 o'clock now. Let me check and see. Steve's probably the tall ship here for now. Are you hearing me okay down there, Steve? K2FW, this is N1VIV.
Yeah, hi, Joe. Yeah, you're coming in quite well. Everyone is. The only one that was a little tough copy that I heard so far was Larry. And Larry's carrier was quite strong, but I thought his audio was a bit low, taking in consideration how strong his carrier was. But you're blasting in very, very well, as is everyone else I've heard. Everyone's very, very strong down here. I hear just a little bit of chatter from sideband below us, but it's really so low that it's not even of really any consequence, Joe. Over.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's go with that then. If that works, that sounds good. And if I need help with relaying check-ins, then we'll look at that and get that done. So, I think I was tending the list pretty well right from the start, so I think everybody who was in here knows that they're in here, and anybody who hasn't checked in yet can do so at the appropriate time. So let me get one more sip of coffee here and say good morning to everybody, and welcome to the AM Carrier Net. My name is Joe. My call is N1VIV, and I'm located in Stonington, Connecticut. The AM Carrier Net meets every Sunday morning here at 8 a.m. local time on 3835 on the 75-meter band. The AM Carrier Net was established for the purpose of promoting and enjoying operations in the AM mode. It's a casual net, so there's no requirement to check in. Other than being able to operate in the AM mode, we certainly like to hear from the stations who maybe just beginning to explore interest in operating AM. Whether you're trying to resurrect an old boat anchor, or maybe trying to get a more modern radio to sound good on AM. On any given Sunday, there's a whole host of participants with knowledge and information to that end. So all are welcome. Please join in. The format of the net is take check-ins and at the top of the hour here, and then if there's check-ins during round one, we typically tack those folks in at the end of round one, and if there's check-ins during round two, we weave those folks in as we go. Certainly want to offer to folks that if for whatever reason, if you're on a short timeline this morning, just let me know when you check in by saying something like, please float me to the top, and I will do my best to get you in at the top of round one so we can get you in here and then off to whatever other responsibilities you may have. Let's see, any other formalities? No, I don't think so. And I don't necessarily think that I need to run down the pre-net list because it was pretty clean and I think everybody knew they were in there and made a transmission. So we're good with that. So let's take check-ins. Any stations anywhere for the AM carrier net, please call now. This is N1VIV.
WA2MER.
E1MI.
KB2NQN.
So I got Jim, WA2MER, and then there was kind of a very clean double in the middle, unfortunately. I did get Bill, KD1SH at the tail end, but there were two stations between Jim and Bill. So let's get those two stations in whatever order we can make it happen. There were two folks that jumped in right after Jim, MER. Go ahead.
KB2NQN. Good morning.
And power up here, KE1MI. Good morning.
Okay, very good. So yeah, we had Jim, WA2MER, Steve, KB2NQN. We had Greg, KE1MI up there in Vermont. Very good. Good morning to you, Greg. And Bill, KD1SH. Excellent. Very good. Okay, I've got that straightened out now. Still hearing quite a bit of sideband activity here, but I've got the receiver really broad. I may need to narrow it up. I'm just trying to keep it broad so I can hear folks if they're not quite so strong. But so far, so good. Let's listen for additional check-ins. Any other stations wishing to check into the AM carrier net, please call now. This is N1VIV. Yeah, good morning to you, Dean. Right next door in Westerly, Rhode Island. Good morning to you. Nice to hear you in there. We've got you in, and hope you're doing well across the river there. Excellent. Very good. Well, let's give a listen to any other check-ins for the net. Please call now. All right, well, nothing else heard. We'll give one more listen just in case, but we've got a decent group here to get started. Let's see. So we got 15 to start, so that's pretty good. I'm sure we'll add to it as we go along. Probably haven't heard from Al yet this morning, but hopefully we will, and hopefully we'll have other check-ins as well. One more listen just in case. Any other stations anywhere for the AM carrier net, please call now. This is N1VIV.
Comment, WA2MER.
Oh, yeah, Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't realize how big the group is. If you could float me near the top, I don't need to be at the top, but I need the QRT. I need the QSY at 8:45. So if you can get me somewhere where I can have my transmission prior to that, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, no trouble. Well, I'm glad I counted down the list. That worked. Probably most efficient thing for me, if that's okay, Jim, is I'm going to put you up at the top because Well, I'm trying to see. Well, why don't we do this? I'm gonna, just because I know you're gonna be seeing for one transmission, I can tuck you right in after Perry and before Steve. So let me just do that real quick. Sliding Jim up. I'm sure Perry and Steve wouldn't mind that. And that'll give you a chance to hear Andy's new ICO lash up and offer him some comments on that. And we'll go from there. So that's a good middle ground. WA to MER. Okay. So Perry, you may already have a list started. If you don't, I'm going to put Jim in right after you, and then it would go to Steve. So I'm going to run down the list anyway. One more check, just in case any other check-ins for the net. Please call now. All right. Well, nothing else heard there. So let's set up the list and get things going. Just on the way of a couple of announcements, next Sunday is the second Sunday of the month. So as we had previously discussed and planned, that would be our swap and sell edition, right at the end of round one. So anybody who has swap and sell items can bring those forth. I think the structure last month worked out pretty well, where people who were in round one kind of announced that they had a swap and sell item, so I set up a separate swap and sell list, and then we took check-ins for swap and sell, put it all together, and then went forward with round two. So keep that in mind if folks are interested in posting, so to speak, swap and sell items. Next week is our swap and sell segment, right at the end of round one. So here's the official rundown for round one of this week's AM Carry Net. I'll get things started with a few comments, and then I'm going to send it to Andy. WA2CDL. Andy, WA2CDL would send it to Jeff. WA2RAS. WA2RAS would send it to Perry. W3MMR. And W3MMR, I'm going to tuck Jim in here, he's going to send it to WA2MER there in northern New Jersey. WA2MER would send it to Steve, K2FW. K2FW would send it to Bob, W1GTH. And W1GTH would send it to Bruce, WX10. It's there in Vermont. WX10 would send it to Chris, AJ1G, down here in Stonington. And Chris, AJ1G, would send it up to Larry, NE1S, up there in Gray, Maine. NE1S would send it to Rob, N1ALF. And N1ALF would send it to Steve, KB2NQN, there in Roslyn. KB2NQN would send it to Greg, KE1MI. And KE1MI would send it to Bill, KD1SH. And Bill, KD1SH, would send it to Dean, K1 Delta Alpha Bravo, K1DAB, just next door here in West Philly, Rhode Island. Dean, if there's additional check-ins, we're going to tack them in after you, and if not, we'll come back up to the top of the list to me for a go at round two. Just also want to offer to folks that if you could let me know during your round one transmission whether you plan to stay for round two, that would be eternally helpful to me in kind of setting up an efficient order for round two. So if folks could let me know that would be great. Well, we had quite a quite a week here. Very busy, to say the least, although I've had the last couple of days of the week off, and I had a couple of days off at the beginning of the week, but still quite busy. We spent Monday and Tuesday moving our son back up to Boston for his sophomore year at Boston University. So he's kind of in a hybrid schedule up there, some on campus activities and some, mostly online learning, but being there and not here is definitely agreeable to him focusing on his energies for school. That's for sure. And so happy to see that happen. But boy, it was quite a stressful adventure. And I was driving this big box truck into Boston and out of Boston and all around Boston, and it was a lot of stress. So on Wednesday, unfortunately, I had some symptoms of kind of like a migraine kind of situation, maybe some kind of stress-induced migraine. Ended up just going, it was so unusual and something I'd never experienced. I did go and get checked out at the hospital. That was a little bit longer of an adventure than I would have chose, but everything checked out 100%, and I've had no further symptoms. So I guess I can just chalk it up to a super stressful day and maybe not being as resilient, a super stressful couple of days, and maybe not being as resilient as I once was back in the old days, where driving big trucks like that was the norm. So I'm fine, and they checked me out 100%, and no problems at all. So I'm good there. And my wife and I took a little road trip up to Northampton, New Hampshire. Northampton, Massachusetts yesterday. That was quite nice, beautiful, gorgeous day. And we stopped in at several. She's big into knitting, and there's big yarn outlets up there, and we hit a couple of those. That was quite nice, and stopped at Cabela's in East Hartford on the way back, and I picked up a few things. So it was a nice road trip day, and enjoyed that very much. There's big yarn. So not much else to report here, just on the little homebrew rig. Let's get it moving along down the list. And Andy's got his ICO going. So very interested in hearing Andy this morning. So over to you, Andy. WA2CDL and the AM carrier net. Here we go for round one. This is N1VIV. Take it away, Andy.
this is a stock modulator that's applications to it to improve the audio and to I also did some improvements on my dipole to a higher level. It's good to be on modulated rather than using a Japanese radio. The first stage of getting things all tuned up and fine-tuned. I can tell you this is a little bit over-modulated. I'm watching it on a oscilloscope. Seems to be hard, but I'm also I have a hunting what's going on. So I'm going to make some fine adjustments. This is a last-minute thing because I was working on this yesterday, getting it tuned up and at least getting it on the air. So everything looks normal here. There's no sparks, no arcs, and everything is good. Spend so much time on the week. So, if everybody gives me a report, that would be great. That's a report, and we'll take it from there. Hopefully everyone copies my signal. As I said, I'm listening, by the way, on my web SDR with KPF Web. Has a partial home storage, which I love. I got plenty of partial homes. I got boxes for them. I got to get one that's with the right voltage. And shut down to get one of my receivers. I got a bunch of receivers. I'm going to be using to receive it rather than having the internet the computer right now. So I've got to be in the one of the project. Okay, so it's a nice turnout. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15 with you, Joe, 15 seconds. So that's a nice amount. So I'll go on to the second round, which I hope to. Unless I get called away. So without any further hold-ups, my neighbor over here, Jeff, is not far from me, and just having the right sound to you, compared to how I do sound in the past. I think that's a big difference. So, WA2RAS, I'm carrying it. This is WA2CDL. Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay. Thanks, WA2CDL and the net WA2RAS. Well, the difference is huge. In fact, even your signal is stronger since you raised your antenna and got it up to that branch in the tree. Even though you're running a little bit less power, but there's no comparison. Between it's night and day between the audio with the rice box and the plate modulated ISO. It sounds excellent, crystal clear to my ear. Anyway, Joe, sorry to hear about the migraine experience in the emergency room. I would think going to the emergency room might have been somewhat traumatic, all on its own. And happy Labor Day to everybody. on the Latine radio today, and there's an auction coming up, AAR auctions, on the 10th. If anybody needs more equipment, I realize that I have no place to put it, so even though I would like things I would like, I don't think I'm going to be bidding. And on the college front, which Joe was talking about, I really hope that there's not going to be a second wave. You hear these stories about the pandemic spreading on colleges, and then some of the colleges are sending the students home. So if you do that, I don't know. That doesn't sound good. Bob, W1GTH, I saw that squirrel. I think it was that squirrel that's giving you the problems being interviewed on CNN yesterday. And unfortunately, the squirrel is a member of Black Squirrels Matter. So you may have a peaceful protest there, a so-called peaceful protest. Watch out that he doesn't try to burn your house down. Anyway, this will be my only transmission. I will be listening out through the entire first round, and over it goes to Perry. Perry, very good signal as always. In fact, good signals are quite good in general. Perry, here it comes. W3, this is WA2RAS.
Jeff, that was hilarious. Really funny. Go ahead, Perry.
Yeah, I was over here chuckling too. Hold on a second here. Give me 1 second, guys. Hold on. Sorry about that. W3MMR and the AM carrier net. Real good there, Jeff and Andy and Andy. It still sounds a little overmodulated to me. I don't know. Just get a lot more opinions on it. I mean, what do I know? But you can always go to the on my YouTube channel. I'm live streaming it now, and you can hear what I was talking about. However, your signal was a lot stronger in the pre-net, so it might not. You weren't real strong during your first transmission, so it's not the best, But it'll give you some semblance of an idea. Really good signals, really, out of everyone. Joe, you were a solid 35 over the entire time, Joe, this morning. So we're definitely getting into later operating conditions later in the season, summer season here. So thank God it's September. I woke up, it was 57 degrees at 4 o'clock this morning. So I'm a happy camper. I'm ready for fall, winter, all this stuff. Just on the Anon this morning. Got some stuff to do here around the house, building an interface for this Henry amplifier, a little control head for it with two play current, grid current, play current and a grid current meter. I'm building an Arduino little K-type thermocouple temperature sensor with a little LCD readout that I'm going to mount. It's all going to be rack mounted in a 3U rack panel. And they'll have a standby and transmit switch or button, a little nice LED push button switch, and then a little TX light, a little LED or something. Then it's going to be connected via Cat6 USB cable to the amplifier. Have a little jack on the back, and then a jack on obviously on the back of the on the unit at the rack. So that's what we got going on here. Anyway, Joe, this will be my one and done. Definitely want to say hi to you, Rob, N1ALF. Say hi to the little ones, to the Tornadoes. Hello to Steve at KB2NQN. Great to hear you. Great signal. Chris, great signal as always. My foot pedal's messing. I'm having a rough morning here. So anyway, guys, we're going to say 7-3, get on out of here before I blow something up. So, like I said, Joe, this is my one and done. And up to you, Jim. Good signal from you as well. WA2MER. Oh, and Steve, too bad about the Flyers, man. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. WA2 MER in the AM carrier net. W3MMR. See you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Perry. W3MMR in the group from WA2MER. The only thing you're blowing up, Perry, is my receiver. You're 40 over. You're doing a bang-up job. You sound good here in Northwest Jersey. So very good morning, and thank you to everybody who's coming after me that allowed me to cut in line here. I have a sked at 9 a.m., so I don't want to miss that. It'll be a special sked this morning. So that's where I wanted to get out of here. I'm running the Icon this morning. About 250 watts, kind of the usual thing. So we're doing that. And Joe, I do not envy your drive into Boston. You know, I've moved my son in Philadelphia 4 times. Most recently there, actually 5 times, counting his freshman year. And driving a van full of stuff in a larger city is not fun. But Philadelphia is not bad. It's easy to drive in Philly. I'm used to driving in New York City because I'm, from New York Metro. I don't go in all that often, but, I grew up in this area. And at the risk of insulting my New England friends, I'm going to insult my New England friends. I hate driving in Boston. And I describe Boston drivers as people who have the New York City attitude behind the wheel, but they're incompetent behind the wheel. That's a bad combination, but I just, between the layout of Boston and the driving up there, it's kind of not my thing, but whatever. We're no picnic down here either. Andy, your ICO sounds good. I agree with Perry and others. You sound like you're hitting it a bit hard, but it sounds good. Your signal was fine. You were about 10 over 9. No problem copying you at all. If you do a few minor mods to that thing, it's going to sound wonderful. Obviously, the first thing is getting rid of the clipper. I did a couple of mods to mine, and you may already be familiar with these, but on the AM window, W38UZ at the time, and I forget his current call, he put a few simple mods for the ICO modulator that made a world of difference. And I know Steve FW here is... he's running an ICO, and I don't know what mods he did to it, but they, for very little effort, they absolutely sound wonderful. I've got my ICO station here. I still have it. It's not set up, and I don't have any time, I don't have any plans in the foreseeable future to put it back on the air, but I've got the 720, the 730, and the 722 VFO. Absolutely wonderful station. And you didn't need an amp this morning, so it's doing really good. So that's my take on what you sound like. And let's see what else is going on over here. That's about it. My big AM transmitter is finally built. I ran through 4 issues with it. I think it's ready to get on the air. I will find out. Everything looks good on paper, as they say. Into a dummy load. The modulation looks good. It seems to have nice clean audio. I don't know what it sounds like. I didn't do a sweep of the audio that I was going to do. I didn't do a sweep of it to see what the frequency response is, but I'm hoping that it works as well in practice as it looks on paper. So hey, with any luck, next time you guys hear me on the net, I'll be running that thing. So that's the word from Jersey. One and done, Joe, of course. And I'll listen out until around 8:45, another 15 minutes, and I got to shut down and move. So 73. Hope everybody has a great week. And pick it up, Steve. K2SW from WA2MER.
Yeah, real fine, Jim. Jim, you're 40 over on my S meter.
Yeah, well, I'm giving you back what you normally give me.
Yeah, you're very strong. Great signals this morning. Everyone's really strong. Other than, well, down here I can understand Larry up there in Maine. He's a little weak down here when he checked in, but that's a long distance for after the sun comes up. So very good. Yeah, looking forward, Jim, to really looking forward to hearing your homebrew AM transmitter. I'm sure it's going to sound terrific. Sure, it's going to really sound terrific. Well, good morning to everyone on the AM Carrier Net. Here in South Jersey, it was about 57 degrees right around 6-7 o'clock, which is almost always the lowest temperatures. We're up to 63 now and headed up to about 82, 83 today. But again, lower humidity and really delightful conditions. So I think most of the guys are tired of the heat and humidity. We might have a couple days coming up this week here in South Jersey where it's a little warm, but nothing like we had back in July and early August. So that's cool. Andy, I was listening very intently to your transmitter, and to me, it sounded distorted a little bit. Probably the clipping, and as Jim was just talking about the mods online for the ICO 730 modulator, one of the first things that he does is just completely bypass the clipping state. It is just a complete and utter bypass of it. So that's that's super easy to do. You cut a couple wires and you put another wire in that just bypasses the entire stage. And then there's a few other modifications, but the whole sequence is no more than about 25-30 minutes. So it's really easy to do. It's an easy modulator to work on. You just pick it up. Nothing's heavy. No 90-pound, 100-pound units, and real simple and still easy to work on. So that should be no problem for you. And your signal is stronger, even though you're running lower power, upping the height of the antenna. And I always I always urge people, if they have a really low antenna, even if you can get another 4 or 5 feet, when your antenna is really low, you can make a big difference in your signal if you can just up it a little bit. If you're already up at 50, 60, 70, 80 feet, a few more feet isn't going to make a difference. But if you're down at 15, 20 feet and you can get it up another 4 or 5 feet, it makes a difference. It does make a difference. So your signal level's up, but the audio, at least to my ear, was distorted. It was distorted. But again, you haven't done any work to the 730 modulator, so I'm sure once you do that, it'll make a big difference. So I guess each week that goes by, you'll make improvements. Again, Jeff, that was hilarious. Your comments on black squirrels matter. That was real. I almost fell out of the chair. That was really funny. Bob, with your squirrel eating through hoses is not good. That's interesting, and I don't know what's going on with Chris's bird feeder. I don't think an animal can empty the bird feeder in a few hours overnight. So something sounds a little fishy for sure going on there, and hopefully you can find out what's going on. It'll be the mystery of Chris's bird feeder. So we'll all wait for the explanation on that. Can't help but notice that Al's missing this morning. We certainly hope Al's okay. Obviously he went through some bad times with Rosie passing away on him, and just hope Al's doing fine. And Bob, GTH, hopefully you can give us an update on what's going on with you health-wise. So that's about it from here. I did a lot of work yesterday on my old lawn tractor, which is 21 years old, and it was a real bear to work on yesterday, but we accomplished some good things with it, and it seems to be working fine. I do want to change the oil in it and maybe clean up the spark plug and air filter, things of that nature, but nothing serious there. But did have to put on some a new belt, and that was a real bear. Had to drop the mower deck and everything else on it. So glad that's done. And Perry, if you're still listening, real disappointment in that game. Not that they lost, but how they lost. And they have a lot of problems going on in that team, especially the cap management. If you look at their salary caps and things like that, they have quite a few hurdles to go through. One other guy missing today too is Jerry, W1ZD. So hopefully he's okay as well. So let me get it up to you, Bob. And Joe will be one and done. I won't be listening out through the first round. Steve, NQN, great to hear you check in, and nice signal down here. So up to you, Bob. W1GTH. In the AM carrier net from K2 Fuzzy Wuzzy, K2FW in southern New Jersey. Take it away, Bob.
K2FW and the AM carrier net, W1GTH, yeah. Okay, and AJ1G, Chris, I believe that you've got the same problem I have, and that's the BSM, Black Squirrels Matters organization there. I can say this, that my next door neighbor has had a bird feeder out there, and I saw those squirrels do. I mean, this is supposed to be a squirrel-proof feeder you had, and it was not. I mean, they can do things that would amaze a trapeze artist, and so I kind of think that that's what it is. But that's the BSM, not the BLM. So anyhow, yeah, okay. Steve, great signal in here as usual, and that's just my interpretation of what's going on with AJ1G's feeder there, but I could be wrong. But anyhow, my next door neighbor finally had to take his down because the bears, who are considerably larger than the squirrels, decided that they want it. When they want it, there ain't nothing going to stop them. So anyhow, as far as the health situation here goes, a couple of weeks ago, I've had a little bit of chest pain on and off. Now, mind you, I've been going to the gym for over 35 years and never ever have it when I exercise. And there's what they call stable angina and unstable angina. And anyway, long story short, a couple of weeks ago, I had a fairly intense chest pain, and so I called my cardiologist, and so naturally he wasn't in, but I went up to see his practitioner, second in charge there, and my daughter happened to stop in. Now my daughter has cancer, and she's gone through a whole lot of chemo and radiation and etc. and medications, and she's fairly happy with Yale. And most of these guys up around here, I live in Wolcott, which is next door to Waterbury. They're all associated with St. Mary's Hospital in Waterbury, and my daughter's had a few issues with St. Mary's Hospital, and so she's pretty much happy with Yale, even though it's a fairly long ride from here. But anyway, she was sitting in there when the second in charge was examining me, and she's listening to her, and she says that the second in charge says that well, if you have pain maybe 3, 4, 5 times a week, maybe you should call us. My daughter's listening there, and she can't believe what's coming out of her mouth, and so my daughter says, well, you understand that if he has any kind of a procedure done, that he's going to have it done at Yale, and then the second in charge came right back with, well, he'll have to get another cardiologist, because this cardiologist is not certified to do that procedure. And So my daughter says, well, okay, when we left, she says, you're not going to St. Mary's, period. And I'm beginning to wonder if, because this guy has never mentioned this catheterization, that because he's not qualified, is that mean that that's why he's not offering it? I mean, there was a certain amount of danger to it, but putting a stent in there if there's blockage there, but I think they ought to at least check it out. And so, anyhow, so we looked up a cardiologist down in Yale, and my daughter was impressed with his resume, and so we made an appointment to go down there, and that's not for another couple of weeks or so. So anyway, that's what's going on here. But I couldn't believe that she was kind of poo-pawing this pain there. The PA was poo-pawing the pain as though it was, nothing to really worry about. But anyway, my daughter was not happy with it, and so basically what it comes down to is I'm firing my cardiologist and going to get another one. He's a smart guy, but last time I was in to talk to him, for a solid half hour, all he wanted to do was talk politics. Now, he's on the opposite page from me on politics, but finally he was getting ready to leave, and I said, hey, Doc, I says, I'm here for the results for the stress test, which I pass fairly easily because I'm used to running on a treadmill, and, oh, yeah, he says, that's fine, but, don't you think that, you ought to give me some results here, because that's why I'm here, So a couple of things that I'm not happy about with this guy, and I think it's time to get somebody new. But anyhow, that's what's going on, and I'll keep you guys appraised, and I will be looking for something probably next week on the swap meet, but we'll get to that when it gets around here. So anyhow, thanks for asking, Steve, and we will, let me see here. Yeah, I'm going to turn it over to WX10, Bruce, and we'll catch you guys next week, hopefully. WX10, this is W1GTH. Take it away.
Everyone so far just fine business old man. Let's see, the temperature has risen 3 degrees, 62 degrees during the CNET, now up to 55. And so things are going well. Well, I'm voting against the first air for Chris. If you were in Middlebury, Vermont, there would be no question that mayors would be running. He kind of placed very good word, I guess. He's had a lot of bear activity in residential communities here in Middlebury. Not us, because we don't put a feed around. We do have the compost, but that's taken care of by the chipmunks. But the bears, female plus comes. Virtually everyone that I think that I know of has withdrawn their because the bears are getting bigger. So today's a perfect day. It's sunny. It's going to be bright. A little breeze. It's very nice. Perfect day for continuing my construction. I'm into the heavy duty stuff now. We are resurrecting an areaway to get to the cellar of the house. The house was built in 1788. The cellar has been that way since then, but it's been covered over with 3 or 4 inches of concrete for probably 40, 50 years. So yesterday I started on with the heavy labor part of the construction project, smashing up 4 inches or 3 to 4 inches of concrete that's covering over the areaway, and made good progress. Then we get down to some of the stones that are above grade, that are probably 150, 200 pounds, and I tow them away on my stone boat. Stoneboat is just a little simple device. It's a real device out in the field. It's quite large. But for my purpose, I put a piece of plywood behind the automobile, or Ford Explorer, roll the stones onto that, and fly them away down to the other end of the yard and build a stone wall. So that's been going on, and more of that today. At the point now where I have to build some superstructure down in the areaway to support me while I begin to construct the roof over the area. So we've had a good long stretch of dry weather to permit me to do that, and it's actually fun. It's a lot of fun to do that. So that's my report here, and we're going to turn it down to Chris. Chris, I'll keep you in mind if we ever end up at a hand fest together. We'll let you know beforehand, and we'll get some parts for the DS100 if you need them. That's it. AJ1G, WX10. And by the way, I'm only in for one time here, Joe. AJ1G, WX10.
Okay, very good, Bruce. WX10 in the AM carrier net AJ1G. Chris, just up the block from Net Control, fine old town of Stonington, Connecticut. Everyone is coming in well, taking copious notes here. Yeah, first of all, Joe, down for the one and done. This one we'll be listening out and get ready to get on with the day. Yeah, as far as the raiders of the bird feeder. First of all, it's one of these really good squirrel-proof feeders where they put a lot of ornamental. It's one of these spring-loaded tubular vertical feeders with multiple levels of access and little perches. And the outside frame is spring-loaded, so a bird can, get through the ports to the little feeding holes on the inner tube where the seed goes. But anything heavy will pull down the spring and block off access. And that is the only way you can get in this thing, except through the lid, which hangs on a hook. Like it's a cable, like a little wire rope hook on the top of it, and the lid has like bayonet type twist lock, which actually works. We've had some that I actually had to put a cable clamp on top of the lid to keep it in place because the squirrels could lift it up, and then the inside of it was plastic, and you chewed them up with a breaker. And drop the whole thing down on the ground. That was one of the issues we had before. And but this one's all metal, and my theory is it may be chipmunks. We actually caught a chipmunk the other afternoon, gorging himself, and his weight was not enough to trip put enough load on the spring to pull the grid down in front of the main ports. Maybe it's chipmunks, and I know and I'm pretty sure I was kind of joking when I said it's a two-legged person, a two-legged animal messing with me. Because I went out one night, not real late, but I actually arrived home from the trip, and came in the backyard, and I heard something hop off the feeder, or run away from the feeder, and the feeder was swinging, so I'm pretty sure it's something that can get on it. Might be raccoons as well. I don't know how they're doing it, but they were emptying this thing right out. And there's nothing. I mean, anything that falls on the ground they get too. So something's really weird going on. Other things, garden's starting to rain here. I think we're over the peak of the production on the tomatoes. And I'm not seeing a lot of new ones growing. So I've been doing this like 10 pounds a day. And I'll probably have another week or so of that, I think. Every time I water them, it's thick. Last time I did a huge bucket of stuff. Bucket of tomatoes, cucumbers, about twisted cucumbers today off of one plant. That was gigantic. Anyhow, let's see, other things. I wonder if anyone listened to Cousin Brucey last night on WABC. Music Radio WABC is back, at least on Saturday nights. Cousin Bruce Morrow's left Sirius XM where he's based. God, in mid to late 80s, but he sounds just like he did when he came back to WABC. The new ownership decided to bring back music, at least on Saturday nights. He's got a show from 6 till 9 p.m. It was fantastic. I listened to it streaming over the internet while I was watering the garden. Put on the speaker, actually, a Bluetooth speaker. And afterwards I listened to the end of the show on some SDRs to see how the signal sounded over the air. It sounded great. Although it doesn't come in well here in Connecticut, on the Connecticut coast. It must be a null in their pattern or something. But it was a lot of fun. I think it's being rebroadcast maybe noontime today. It said 12 p.m. It's either today or tomorrow they're going to rebroadcast it. It won't be live. It was a very, very good show. A lot of good stuff was being played as well. Joe, on the subject of music, I wonder if you heard that big party down this is strictly to Joe. Huge party somewhere is down towards the new neighborhood there on Rivercrest Drive. I was hearing that over Cousin Brucey, and it was echoing off the people's houses and stuff like that. It was quite loud. It sounded like some people were having a good time. We actually took a drive around to see if it was a block party or something, but really couldn't see it. It sounded like it was maybe in the, right off a Renee Drive there. I wonder if you heard that down here last night. Okay, on your migraine and all that, going to Boston, man, I hope you're okay. I wonder if they gave you a COVID test as part of your discharge to get out of the ER there. I'm sure it'll probably come up negative. Okay, and then on Andy, on your signal, it sounds like you should try backing the audio down for starters, but the other thing I know is that it is distorted, but I don't know if that's going to help completely, because one of the things I've noticed, I have an SDR locally, and I listen to several other SDRs and looked at other SDRs. Other people have SDRs, probably can confirm it. I saw it on every SDR I looked at. It wasn't something unique to how I was listening to you here. But all your energy, you have no upper sideband. You've got carrier and lower sideband, and really no energy in your upper sideband. Even went to the point of, going into lower sideband, upper sideband protection modes. And it's like you had nothing there in your upper sideband. It sounded pretty okay in the lower sideband with carrier. So something's very odd going on in there. I don't know how you would do that with a plate modulator. First thing that comes to mind is one of your modulation tubes not working. But I don't know if that's how it would work. You have only lower sideband. So I guess for starters, you could flip the tubes around and see if you all of a sudden have upper sideband. But that was my major observation. I'm sure you'll get through it. Jim, W82MER. Joe, appreciate the comments about fast drivers. Down here we see a lot of them, and one of the things I always notice is when driving back and forth to work from Groton and New London up here, as you're heading east out of Mystic, or out of Groton, and you approach Mystic, you go from 3 lanes down to 2 just before you get into the first Mystic, Connecticut exit. And there's all sorts of signs for about a mile telling you that lane is going away. And all local drivers will stay over to the left because they know what's coming. And there's a lot of accidents there. And the other thing you got to watch for is, you always got to watch your rear view mirror for people come flying up that right-hand lane is going to go away. And a lot of times you get cut off or you deliberately go all the way over to the left to avoid getting cut off. But more often than not, during rush hours, especially, if someone would do that, they'd have white plates with red letters on them. So people say, I don't know why that is. But it was, I would say if I would, more often than not, if that was the case. They're not familiar with the area and they're not paying attention. But it was weird how often, and it wouldn't necessarily be other out-of-staters either. It was always the white plates with red letters. Sometimes they had little red signs. Anyhow, Bob. Okay. Get down to the old booth, too. And Bruce, interesting on your stone booth. Yeah, I've done something like that with a piece of plywood, and a lot of times all the wood blocks were actually dragged from the vehicle. I suppose you can do it. It's all a matter of like moving the rocket. You don't have to lift. You're not lifting it. You're kind of sliding it. You slide it on the boat, and then you get it. One of the things I've done is I use a couple of pieces of either PVC pipe or actual steel pipe as rollers, and that works quite well. And I've actually made a stone boat where I pull it with a rope and move some rocks around here. Again, I'm going to be one and done here. Joe, and everyone have a great remainder of Labor Day weekend. We're going to have very nice weather here in the Northeast for it. So let's see, it goes up to Larry. NT1S. NT1G, unless Joe, you want to pick it back up maybe to That's the unteam, so you're 28. That's the shot.
You know that you're one of the VTP.
Oh, hey, good morning, Al. Let me just make sure I've got it. Okay. Nice to hear you, Al. Let's see, we've got K1DAB. Down at the end of the list, so Dean K1DAB, you're going to select Al W1VTP up there in Manchester, New Hampshire, and then Al, if there's any other check-ins, we'll tack them in after you. If not, we'll come back up to the top of the list to me. So, over to Larry in Gray, Maine. NE1S and the AM carrier net, and then 1VIV. Okay, N1VIV and the AM carrier net NE1S. I turned on my amplifier. I hope I was a little bit. Running about 140 watts now. Only 40 watts at the Ranger. Now I'm running the Ranger in low power mode into the 3000Z. Mine helps a little bit. Good morning, everybody. It's not intuitive, but if you go through the math,
officers that have reports of motorcycling being attempted to the road. So I'm sure that's what's going on. Joe, sorry to hear about your picture. Were you interested in it? We weren't sure exactly what time that started. We started listening at WABC wasn't coming in on the AM radio yet. So about 20 minutes later,
KG2IR. And 1L. Am I being heard here? Okay. It looks like I'm putting out some audio there. Good morning, everyone, again there. And good morning, Perry. What's going on, brother? And yes, we did hear you, Andy, there. A little raspy there, but it's the biggest signal we heard in some time across the pond there. So sorry, Joe, about your migraine. My mother suffered from them. She said, remember, she used to go in a room and turn out all the lights there. A good friend of mine used to lay on the kitchen floor because it was cold, but fortunately I haven't had those, so I guess it's not hereditary in my family. But things are good, yeah, in the tornadoes, Barry. Yeah, they're like, they get to a point, they're like milk. They have an expiration date, okay? It's time to go home. But they're good. Oh, you should see them swimming. They went from tadpole to minnow to sunfish there, and they're moving up the ranks and swimming. I was a big swimmer, so we're teaching them. The first thing I taught them is how to swim underwater, and they're jumping off the decks, going underneath water, retrieving things off the bottom. And my daughter's freaking out there, you know, oh, she says, either go inside or go home. Leave us alone there. I said, a kid that doesn't learn to swim is a kid that drowns. and accidentally fall off, at least he knows what to do. But anyway, everyone's sounding good. Yeah, Cousin Brucey. I got to meet him a couple times. He played up in the Norwalk, Connecticut Oyster Fest many years ago. Who was there? Leslie Gore, the Five Satins, Lou Christie, and a couple other people there performed there. And I've met him other times. And you said Dan Ingram. He just passed away not too long ago. I had the fortunate pleasure of meeting Mr. Ingram there, and it was because I worked for a pool company that was local here, and had to go down and take out what they call a paint pot at the bottom of his pool there, and that pulled the water out after painting so it didn't fill up, and I actually slipped into the water sitting on my butt in this ice cold water. So Mr. Ingram said to me, he says, hey, come on inside, take those off, and get a cup of coffee there, and I'll throw those in the dryer. Well, lo and behold, my boss is looking for me. Standing there at the edge of the pool with his hands on his hip. He was a pain in my butt. And looking around, he went back and looked at my truck, and he's coming back and he's looking around the yard, and I'm sitting there on the inside porch there that looks outside the pool there, sitting there with Mr. Ingram, smoking a cigarette, drinking a coffee, and eating a bagel. And all of a sudden he turns around and looks over and sees me, and you could see his face turning red, and he goes, I think your boss wants you out there. I took a puff of the cigarette, raised my cup of coffee, took a sip, and went back to talking to him. Well, Dan Ingram turned around and says, well, Rob, you just sent a rocket off to the moon there. So he's motioned for me to come out there. But anyway, that was interesting. Yeah, Don Imus and all the classic guys there. Well, I'll have to tune in to Cousin Brucey. I like old-time AM radio and listen to those guys. But anything else new? Nothing. You know, like I said, it's cool down here. I'd rather have the hot heat than going out there and shovel. You know, don't have to shovel the heat. Got to cut the grass more often. But everybody's sounding good. So on that note, one round, Joe. Oh, wait, one thing. Bird feeders. We do not feed the birds here in the summertime. Something my father didn't do. He believes the birds should be eating the insects that are around there. And the only birds that we feed are the finch. And they don't bother that seed. The squirrels or the bears or anybody. And it's so beautiful to watch the American finch, the yellow ones, and the way they chirp, the way they fly, and they gather on there, and they argue with each other there, and that's probably a man and wife there. Who's going to be at the bird feeder? But it's good to gather them. And I think somebody said something about a hose being chewed. Well, if that's a propane hose, that's the chipmunks, and if there's grease doing on it, we had one chewed here. I never had one in all my years of barbecue. Up the farm there in the mountains, nothing ever chewed that. So either they're trying to get high, but there is a device you can get on Amazon. It's a coil that goes over your propane gas hose to prevent that there. $11 on Amazon. It's better than going out and pay almost $50 for a new regulator and hose. So on that note, 7 Joe, thank you for running the net. Everybody is sounding good. Hello, Al. Good to hear you. Maybe we'll catch you on the upper portion of the band. So it goes over to KB2. I didn't get the full call signs because my fire pager went off, so I apologize for that. So 7-3s, everyone. Have a good holiday there. Stay safe, and we'll pass it over to KB2 station, N1LF.
All right, let me just make sure I've got it. I'm just going to try to pull Nick in here. Because I did hear him check in. Let me just make sure I've got it. Okay, great. So, good morning to you, Nick. Prior to Rob's transmission. 99% sure I heard him in there. So, Al, W1VTP, listening to Nick, KBTLR, and if there's any other check-ins, we'll pass them in after you. And if not, they'll come back up to the top of the list to me for a go at round 2, which right now, other than Andy, I don't think we have anybody else saying, but that's fine. I'm sure some folks will. So let's see. Oh, yeah, it's going back over to Steve. KB2NQF and the AM carrier net. This is N1VIV.
Okay, Joe. Good morning, Nick, and everybody else on the net. KB2NQN on the Fine Business AM carrier net. Everybody sounding good. I'm hearing Larry, NE1S, very well this morning. almost S9, Larry, and I hardly ever hear you. And I even heard Jeff out there at DX Land, Highland Park. Very, very good. Again, hello to everybody. My condolences to those Flyer fans. As you know, we're over here in Nassau County, so we are, our team is advancing, and I know that certain people, especially down there in Blue Anchor, are crying in their Cheerios this morning. So, there's always next year. There's always next year, Steve. Always, always, always. On the Gonset this morning, Gonset G76 with the full-wave dipole. The resurrected full-wave dipole. Andy, you sounded good. I heard you very, very well. Yeah, there was some times when it seemed that you did break into distortion, but generally your signal is stronger, as the other guys mentioned, and there is some distortion. Adjustments will take care of them. I'm sure you'll be able to handle that. What else do I have here? Was out east yesterday. We were out in Southold for the day. Beautiful day. Look at that out there. A lot of people out there. A lot of cars. Looks like a lot of people. You know, tired of being cooped up and, you know, taking advantage of the beautiful, beautiful weather without the humidity. Just totally awesome. But a lot of people out there. And we spent the day, had a very nice day. Went to one of our neighbors' vineyards and hung out there for the afternoon. So it was a very, very nice night. What I did notice is a lot of people are into the day trips now. They're still a little skeptical and scared about hanging out at someone's house overnight, staying at a B&B, staying somewhere overnight. They just seem to be a lot of cars coming back also last night, and for a 3-4 day weekend for some people, it just didn't seem normal. It seemed not quite normal to me. Steve, I did pass Dick's old QTH, and I genuflected my way when I went by there to make sure that I paid my respect to him over there at the old Aquadog QTH. I take the back roads around when I'm out there to try and avoid some of the traffic, and generally pass by, so I'll drop him an email and tell him I was thinking about him. Okay, that's about it from here. By the way, we have agreed in principle on my house, so stay tuned for that. A very possible sale in the near future, hopefully. So that's another good thing that happened yesterday. Craig, I'm over to you up there in VT. KE1MI. I'm one and done, by the way. I'll listen out, Joe, but I am one and done. KE1MI and the Fine Business Group, KB2NQN.
Oh, okay, Steve. KB2NQN, KE1MI. Good morning, everybody. 50 degrees here on the hill, and beautiful sunshine. Going to be another cool day here in Vermont. It was pretty nice yesterday. We got some showers late in the day, but that's okay. We needed the rain. We actually used quite a bit more rain, especially before the ground freezes up. And then didn't have a lot of rain all summer. Good. Projects for this weekend, being Labor Day weekend. I did a bunch of them yesterday. I got to get the chicken bits out today. Just myself, let me get that clean. That's my top priority. So before you know it, there'll be wood back in the wood box there. We'll be heating the wood again before you know it. So I got to work on that. I got to do outside. To get a bunch of slabs from the local sawmill.
Yeah, I was hearing the OK over here, right across the river. And very interesting on driving tractor trailers into Boston. Very good. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm glad you were able to come in. It's over to Al, W1VTP, and then over to Nick, TG2IR, and then we'll check for other check-ins. Good morning, Al. This is N1VIV.
good morning. Sorry I'm late. I overslept, frankly. It's one of those things. Come on, just a second. I didn't do it. Disappear on me. Not sure. Oh boy. So my brain is not engaged. But, I did not hear or see Andy, but the first thing that popped into my mind is that his incidental family. Usually that comes from a transmitter that has the vehicle on the same power supply as the modulator, etc. And the solution to that would be if you have run an ICO, you could search on eBay for an ICO 722 vehicle which has its own power supply. I don't see how that can happen. For example, KWS-1, there's just no way that you're going to have two factors because the transmission is all it's doing is reinserting the carrier into a sideband signal. The problem is there's a full distortion unfold that's induced because something is connected not potentials of this sensor. As long as you can just get in keep space and reproduce the modulation of the carrier. If you're running the UFO, same power supply, which goes in the data system. It goes in the power supply for it, and run the power supply separately and power supply regulated like that. I've got two of them here, and they have three ICOs, 720s, and just, one of these days, I have so many things that I plan on doing that do those things. So it's interesting what kind of vehicle and when you have a troubleshoot switch got flipped in my head. I've heard the conversation. I think it was Larry. I'm sorry, I missed Larry. I'm sorry that happened. And thanks out for the reference there. You can go to almost every morning. Readings. doesn't have a real chart. So, let's say, okay, so commented on that. So I guess I give it up to you next. Okay, family, okay. Everything looks okay except my visual. It's just a bit off, so I'll have to see if I can adjust that. Okay, good morning to you on the AM Carrier Net. This is KG2IR. Excuse my voice. Boy. It's just, still the pollen count is really way up there, you know, and get up in the morning and I'm an old man, but I now have an old man's voice. Good hearing everybody on the AM Carrier Net. I got on here a little earlier. Not quite on at the beginning, but I guess early enough. Used to hear all the reporting about summer activities. We had kind of a mixed bag summer, as a lot of people did because of this COVID-19. Not seeing a lot of places and wanting to go a lot of places that we just don't go because of the fact that we're a little concerned about the gathering of all these people. But it looks like things are starting to pick up a little bit. People are being more cautious and still trying to have a somewhat normal life as far as getting out and going places and doing things. And with regard to Hamfest and things like that, of course, I look for two different types of gatherings at the fall and winter season and up into the spring, just much like the Hamfest happened twice a year, you know, usually in October or around there, and around April, May, in the spring like Nearfest. But I noticed that a number of shows are also starting to gather the troops and attending a venue where there's people and stuff, but in a controlled environment. There's a number of, there's one antique radio show that happens, I've never gone to it, I've been invited to it, I'm on their list. It's at a local train station of all places, I guess, to get the building and everything, and it's outdoors. And it's pretty well attended for a local show, and that went off, I guess, last week. And I also know, which I was attempting to go to, is the Antique Radio Meet in Kutztown, Pennsylvania, which I've been talking about here on the AM Carrier Net, as well as the Holy Guys Net. And that's on for September 18th and 19th. That's held in two open pole barns, which is a great venue. You literally can pull your vehicle right up to the side of the so-called, it's a pole barn. It's a roof held up by a bunch of poles. And there's two of them, separated by about 60 or 80 feet. And so you can go from one to the other. And even if it's raining, it doesn't matter. I mean, the thing's all powered, lights, lots of activity. And, of course, there's a lot of ham radio guys there buying and selling ham radio equipment as well as old radios. Well, of course, you know, a lot of the radios we deal with are all what we affectionately call boat anchors. So that's a nicely attended affair. And unfortunately, something else got in the way where we have to take care of on the 18th. So I guess we're not going to make it. My partner in crime, who kind of told me about this place and buys and sells vintage hi-fi equipment, stereo equipment, and he goes to that, so he'll be going to it. I was hoping to take some of Howie's stuff, WF2Q, although little by little, we're whittling away at the collection of both really excellent hi-fi equipment as well as radios. You know, Steve, KB2NQN, he got the very nice 5100B. I got a 75A4, which is actually going to someone else, and a few other pieces. But there's a few other pieces I think are going to go soon that people are interested in. So we're slowly placing the equipment in the right place, in the right hands. And so, that's the activity this summer. And, that's been quite a turnout for you with Rosie, Al. Everybody knew her, and I listened to her, and she was part of the ham radio scene when you got on the air. Of course, this summer we had a tragedy with our son, who passed on July 10th. And we spread his ashes, his wish. We were able to pull it off with the help of the town, who owns both airports. Big one that people know is Islip MacArthur, and the one next to it, which is Bayport Edwards, Bayport Aerodrome, the southeast of the Islip Airport. And with their cooperation, we were able to perform our son's last wishes, which is to spread his ashes. We did that at the north end of runway 1836. And that was a nice memorial that we had. Everybody came back to the house, and we had some kind of a food and drink gathering. So that was an unfortunate highlight of the summer. And we're still getting over it. We never do, but that was our real event this year, at least in the warm weather, Things seem to be pretty good here as far as even the predicted weather for the next week. It should get up into the 80s still. And September can be a hot month. In fact, our wedding anniversary is on September 10th, and I remember it was on a Saturday. The following Sunday, it reached 100 degrees. It was like 90, I think 93 and 94. And it was an outdoor wedding, a big tented thing with the band and ceremony and all that stuff. Food. It was a big operation. It was enough of a breeze to keep people cool, but there's pictures, photographs of a lot of people who took off their suit jackets, the guys, and you could see them hanging off the trees. Because it was just getting too hot. But you can have that kind of weather around here easily. Anyway, it's good to get in here, and the conditions aren't the greatest. I'm seeing myself up about S9 to plus 10 over at the W1NT SDR radio up there, and I believe that's in New Hampshire. Al, you were doing about the same on that, and I'm receiving everybody, if I'm lucky to peg, estimator comes off the peg, and that's about it, but I'm hearing people, which is good. I heard you, Larry, and of course, just about everybody else. Even N1LAF, whom I hear quite well here from Greenwich. He was just about taking the needle off the peg, and showing up at about an S5 or a 6 at the SDR site. So conditions hopefully will get better this fall. And what comes after fall? Winter. And prediction is we're going to get some really heavy snows. Let's see if it holds out. Back to you there, Joe, and thanks for letting me in here this morning. N1VIV. By the way, the Lonely Guys net had its first session yesterday, Saturday. So it's back in session for the season. N1VIV in the AM carrier net. This is KG2IR.
diversity amongst the AM carrier network. It's great to hear you in here this morning. We've got a small handful of folks who are planning to stick around too, but before we do that, what ahead, we're going to kind of see it round two and see what happens. I'm sure conditions are going to start to wane here soon. So let's see. First theories being proposed there on Andy's ICO. There's certainly more expert opinions than I'd be able to offer. But I am grateful, Andy, that you're assuming strength is quite good here. And so I'm sure you'll start to puzzle your way through, the concepts of incidental modulation and clipping circuit. That makes sense based on general understanding of cleaning up the audio goes. So, good luck with that, and hope that you continue to move forward. But it's a good step forward, that's for sure, with regard to getting 720 in the air. Just a quick comment. It's so odd that I had on Wednesday, right around noontime, I was at my desk at work in Providence, and my main symptom that I had that led me to think that it was some type of a migraine was that I had this swelling of aura in my head. And so that was a little distressing, but that was significant lightheadedness. That combination was just enough for me to have no concern about that. Glad I did, but it turned out that there was nothing that they could identify. So, basically had some segment of the migraine symptoms without the headache. So I never really had a headache. But my blood pressure was never an issue. They did EKG, they had to do a scan, they did everything under the sun. It was a long day, just to make sure, which is good, I guess. But I never had any headache. It was really just a visual aura there for a few minutes. So on. It wasn't any loss of vision. It was like a swirling pattern of movement. Very good. Should have just stayed home. That's probably the bottom line. That's about it from here. So I'll set up round two here as I see it, based on the rotations I think stays the same. So I believe this would be the rotation that I'm happy to interject and manage as we go if that's necessary. It will be Andy, WAQCDL. And WAQCDL, I'm setting to Bill, 81S8. 81S8, we send it to June, W1VAB. And GWY, K1VA. W1VTP. And W1VTP will switch back to Nick, CIR. By about that time, I am going to need to get out of here, so I'll probably have a bit of a hard stop. About 15 minutes, no rush. If I have to run, I'll just pop in. You guys know I need to run, and folks can feel free to carry on at will. But a very nice net, 17 check-ins, and so that's nice for this time of year. And great to hear everybody on. Let's get it back over to you, Andy. You can process some of that feedback you're able to receive on the iPad. WA2CDL, and I'll be here to run interference as we go. This is N1VIB.
information. I think you mentioned the train station that is today. That's on the first Sunday of the month. Today is the first Sunday of September. Today is the 6th. Over at the Cedar train station. The next one will be in October, the first Sunday of October. So keep that in mind. Today was the day that they had the gathering at the Cedar train station for the Anti-Wireless Association. The information. That's all I need to know. For sure, we've got more work to do. Changing the message, and the aim is how we love. Have a great week, guys. Stay tuned.
nothing heard there, and I'm kind of up against my 10 o'clock window here, so I apologize, but I am going to need to slide out of here. So the 2 stations I have remaining, I'll be able to listen for a couple of minutes, but I've got something I need to attend to sooner than later. So we've really stretched into a solid 2-hour format here, and that's pretty much my limit right now to attend to some other stuff. So I'm going to send it to Al. Al, if you want to send it to Nick, I think both you guys are still in here. And feel free to carry on as you wish. I will listen for a couple of minutes, but probably by the time Nick transmits, I might need to be out of here. But I'll certainly be listening to your transmission, Al, and then we can reconnect. We'll see everybody. I'll see you next Sunday. So, hope you, Al, and then you can connect that I'll be here in Eastfield. W1VTC. This is M1VI.
Yeah, I do have to apologize for you, Joe, because I am also have that migraine, ocular migraine thing, and typically that's out to have a jagged light, reverse C in my case, is jagged, and it goes around slowly, and it gets a little closer to the center of the vision, until finally it gets close to the center of the vision, it's considered. I have also had some the lower half of the vision go white. awake, but I just completely overslept. I mean, it was just, my eyes popped open, and the first thing I did was look at the clock. And I saw what time it was. KG2IR on the AM carrier net from W1UBCT.
Well, thanks, Al. W1BTP and carrying the KG2IR. Interesting stuff. I didn't make any comments on people suffering from migraines. Fortunately, my oldest daughter, I get it occasionally, and there's certain medication she was taking, and eventually she didn't get them anymore, just like that. And I've been very fortunate in my advanced age, as we say now. You and I are same category. Haven't had the sad opportunity of ever having one of those. I've had headaches, but an Advil or a couple of aspirin or whatever would go away. Many times it would be from ice cream or just bright light. I was always a frowner when the sun was out. My nose would wrinkle. As a kid, my nose would wrinkle up, and probably the reason I have so many wrinkles in my forehead. But I'm very fortunate. I know people really suffer with that. It's really terrifying for some people. Get through that. And thanks for your sympathies. I know it's appreciated. I think you did, but I can't remember. So many people did. It was such a crazy event as it always is. We bury our parents, as you indicated. We shouldn't be burying our offspring. Actually, I had 3, and now I have 2. He was 50. My middle daughter, who just turned 54, and my other one will turn 56 on the 27th of this month. We even got a chance to visit our old homestead where the kids were brought up. Because the place where we spread his ashes was an airport that adjoined the neighborhood where we lived in, and we actually visited some of the one's house. My wife wasn't home, invited us in and showed us all the changes he had made to the house, and he's been there 40-some odd years. So I think there was another almost a year or 2 before he got it, but basically he got it the way we left it. Some of those changes, but it was really kind of a bittersweet conclusion to that day of spreading his ashes. But anyway, thanks again. I labor the point. But it was very traumatic. We had never lost a child. There's times we wished we did as we were raising them. We were going to be with us. But good kids, all of them. Successful and went on, had a good life, except his was cut short. By our standards, and as old as we are. Migraines are not a fun thing. I know from people that are close to us that find it pretty sore, but for some reason they just stop. At least she hasn't had one in quite a number of years. Oh, good. Well, it seemed like it was a good net. 17 people turning out. Got a chance to hear Andy, WA2CDL, much better signal. Andy, if you're listening, and I was looking at your spectral display here on the 66 dBm. Not a bad signal up there in Newton, New Hampshire. This is SDR radio. And I could see that you had, predominance in the left sideband, which is the lower sideband, You could see all the energy on that side and some energy in the upper. And of course, I have a Goldust twins, which means a KWS 175 combination. And that, of course, generates AM on one sideband or the other because the sub-carrier generator, 250 kilohertz generator goes through its ring modulator, and then onwards to the filters, and you select upper or lower. So when you re-inject the carrier to unbalance that ring modulator, and it goes past that point as an AM signal, it's only going to go to one sideband or the other because the filters are after it. And there was some talk with Bear, WB2GCR, who was working on one. I don't know if he ever got it working because he had some difficulty. He was going to change that. I think he was going to put some switching in it so they could do a switch around and double sideband, which would be kind of unique for KWS-1. And there's things you could do to fatten out the audio. I just kept the whole thing stopped. It's a good sideband radio. It's a big radio. Sideband radio. Look at the radio KWS-1 that was used in the South. Strategic Air Command's early warning defense system was B-52s that rose aloft, running around the top of the world. And the sideband network that was made up of mostly KWS-1s, believe it or not, inside the airplane. It's a big radio. But they had the rack-mounted ears for it and everything. It was integrated into the radio bay in those big phones. That was the communication system. The old two-sideband radio. In fact, I had a military version of it. It was used actually as a military version of chassis. I guess they were short of chassis when they were building some amateur radio versions of it. And it has all the holes and C and RIDs and all that stuff for the extra channels of audio encryption and RF that was Air Force bands that had it on. That's how I knew what it was. I took pictures of it before I sold it. Kind of a unique KWS-1. But they literally used the sheet metal to build up the amateur version. They were short situations. Anyway, I'm just babbling on. Let me turn this over to Joe, if you're still here, Joe. If not, this will conclude the AM camera. To hear anything from tonight. I didn't hear it. It's been a fun day. One VIV, AM camera, KG2. Yeah, I thought he said he might not get out of here early after 10 and then probably my old fuzzy transmission. But conditions are starting to Dan, you hear me okay? Yeah. You know, on the New Hampshire SBR at this time, hearing about this 4 SRA, to be on the expected with the bad conditions until 10. I guess soon we're going to be sliding the time back, and of course you can see the days are starting to slip as far as the hours of daylight available. Let's see, what does it say? This latitude this morning, the sun rose at 6:26, and the set at 7:17. Beginning to see traces of the approaching dark days of winter. Anyway, back to you. Go ahead with the transmission. I'll hang around here for a little bit while I finish up the first cup of tea. And enjoyed hearing everybody this morning. W1V2P KG2IR. Or
really thick bill. Iron it does. But it was made to do it.
Yeah, your signal came up nice now. Came up to about this morning. Higher this time of day in the fan conditions the way they are. I guess you are. Because I'm looking at my signal. Making sure it's fine. I'm going to be doing at least over here too. Yeah, it's quite an extensive design, you know, and this thing was made to work. And yes, the output devices, the power amp on this thing. It was originally 4 X150Ds, and then they went to the 4 CX250s, which is what's in this AWS one. I've actually had 2 of them. Like I said, the other one was a reclaimed, not a reclaimed, they used a military chassis. Calling it military, because it had all the extra tuning and alignment capacitors for bands and the amateur radio. And what's really cool about the radio, because of the way it generates AM, is you could be in AM, and while you're in AM, you just take the carrier control and slowly rotate it to 0. Which turns the radio back in the sideband. So you could be talking to somebody, and all of a sudden, as you're listening to them, the carrier is slowly drifting away, going away, and becomes just the sideband to the left. But that's the scheme. If they use a 250 kilohertz RF generator circuit that goes to the ring modulator and to the left to the switch that gives you either upper or lower sideband. It's a relatively simple circuit, but it does work. Kind of hokey the way they do things back then. The way they would generate signals to throw away a lot of efficiency just to get what they want. It's most like mixers, like we've studied nonlinear mixers that are used in heterodyne receivers, just to get that intermediate frequency out of the mixer and stuff. You have to throw away a lot of RF energy. And that's where a lot of noise is generated. In fact, what we did I didn't do it. I was just in the lab, and this guy was pretty clever. By the name of George Morrow. Also, Morris Ramsey, Harman Kardon. They actually used a 1N87 as the nonlinear mixing device in the FM tuners at HK. One of their best tuners, the Citation 3X stations. The mixer is a crystal. And that worked pretty well. Very stable and pretty low noise. Just like in the R398 and a number of receivers back in the days of the low anchor days, they use a triode instead of a penta. Less noise. A self-tuner with a mixing process. Anyway, the KWS-1 is quite a radio. It wasn't cheap either. I guess that's why they called them the Gold Dust Twins. I think the receiver, which is usually the 704, the KWS-1, and of course the speaker. They had 2 speaker systems. One was called a 312A1, and the other was a 312A2. One of them gave you this, looked like a fluorescent light. It's a light tube that's really incandescent. It's where the one display case. And the light fixture located at the top of the speaker. It gave you some light. And the other version of that, which was really cool, a hard signal ADF or an ADF. That's just what it was. It was an ADF, automatic radio direction finder that you can find an aircraft instrument panel with the compass runners on it. And it was self-driven with the appropriate electrical and electronic components. So you could, when the beam rotated, you actually saw it indicating on the the display cord, rotating display cord. And it came with I think it was a telephone, mechanically digital. Power meter, all on the panel, perforated panel, the speaker could read. But and that was called, the whole system was called the SC101, which was not just that speaker cabinet with the extra equipment, with the transfer, telephone hybrid too, which had a telephone patch, power meter, clock, and an RDS indicator for the position. Quite a piece of equipment. But that had to be coupled with this SC101 the hook to this whole story. It's kind of funny. Is that a very, very rare piece because what happens is after people would get rid of the amateur radio equipment in that room because either the poor soul departed, became a silent key, and the state was getting rid of the stuff, they would forget that this conduit trough, which is an electrical trough, conduit trough, steel trough, was mounted on the wall. And in that wall was all the interfaces. The antenna wiring went and everything else with the appropriate cable that went up to the speaker that had all these instruments mounted on its perforated front panel. And they would rebuild that room or whatever, and they would throw that away like a piece of old electrical apparatus that's been removed and no longer needed. So consequently, if you find a PSC-101, or even just that trough with all its harnessing on it, you could pay $2,500 to $3,000 this way. But most of them were destroyed. And that's what it took to. I don't have that. I have the 312A2. I think that's the designation. 312A1, which is the speaker. It's the same exact box. Got a huge barrier strip in the back, and the perforated grill, of course, which you can pull it down, and behind that is the speaker, and the luminaire lighting system. And those bulbs are very hard to find. I was able to snatch. GE made a case of them, a dozen, and since given some away to other guys who needed them. And I've probably got about 4 or 5 left. I haven't burnt this one out yet. But the socket that holds it, and the switch right there, and the bulb itself is quite a rare thing to find. And it has a chrome steel shade that snaps over the bulb. Quite a cool looking device when it's lit up. It's got a kind of an incandescent glow, not so it doesn't look like a fluorescent. But it's a little on the white side because it is coated to look like a fluorescent. If you've ever seen that setup. And I do have the power meter as an external power meter, which is the setup. And that Gold Dust Twin setup was about $3,500. That's why I guess they called it the Gold Dust Twin. Well, of course, I didn't pay that. The tuning on that thing is they got that gear reduction drive system, which is a tendency, and it's made out of pot metal holding the gears, the planetary gear system to tune and load. And that thing gets a little screwed up where you keep tightening down the screws to tighten it to the shaft. The fact that it's a pot metal, a hole where the set screws are the shaft, quarter-inch shaft against the elongate and hold and distorts the holding places for the planetary gears, and that's a big problem to repair those turns counters. I know Bear came up with a very clever machined rework of those to repair those knobs. That's what I mentioned. Anyway, that's the story as I know it, and I really should let somebody else have this thing because I don't use it that much. It does work. This W1VTP. This new group KG2IR. part of the early one, the DEW line. The Strategic Air Command coupled to the DEW line up there in Thule, Greenland, right through east to Reykjavik, Iceland. That was the whole system. It was all KWS-1s in the aircraft and on the ground. Well, from what I understand, I don't know it for fact, but I've got some books on it, that it was primarily upper and lower sideband, because they didn't worry about the 10 megahertz, break. And they did use AM, but, it just was built into the system, and it was either upper or lower sideband AM. Now, it could be another set of radios that were part of that system, and they were AM. I don't know. And they probably had, they did have some pretty powerful radios, ground radios with Sturber curtains and all that stuff. And I'm not sure exactly how that whole network went together, but the air-to-ground, ground-to-air, and air-to-air communications was all on sideband, and it was all performed for a period of time with the KWS-1. And of course, Butch, I can't think of the general's name, he was very friendly with Art Collins, so you know how they got the contract.